Ben, guess what? We're live. And it is time for News Roundup of the Week. It's the 31st of March. It's actually Easter Sunday as well this year, which is very early for Easter. Sometimes it's towards the back end of April. No idea how it works. There's some legitimate reason for it moving backwards and forward, but after all, it's only a fairy tale. So, yes, we're going to be looking at the world news and we're going to be discussing it. Don't forget you can join in the chat by going in the chat room, and you also get a shout out at the end of the programme. And also, if you're watching this not live or listening to it as a podcast, you can comment in the comments section. That's what the comment section is there for. News we're going to cover this week is bridge collapses, sanity collapsing in Gaza, well, particularly in Netanyahu, various other little bits and pieces, plus we'll have a look at the world news, including what's being reported in America, Australia, and I think we've also got somewhere else that's reported some news that I've covered this week. And then we'll end it with some news that's a little bit more light-hearted, a little bit more like, and that kind of thing. But first we have to cover the most serious aspects of the news this week, which I'll be honest with you is my least favourite part, but it has to be done because, well, news is news, isn't it? And yeah, we have to look at it. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the continuing, almost now coming up to 12 months of what's going on in Gaza. Now, on Monday, the USA finally abstained in the UN to allow a call for the ceasefire and release of hostages. So they didn't vote for it, but they didn't block it either, which is a marked improvement. Most other people who've got some kind of sanity. Hello. Oh, we got Rollo here as well, and Kelly. Hope you're good. But yeah, you can't be supporting Israel in any way, shape, or form without condoning innocent people being murdered. Yes, Hamas and terrorists. Hamas needs to be destroyed. But not at the expense of innocent human lives. The Israelis got a bit upset and they cancelled an official visit to the White House. And an IDF spokesman says that there is no starvation going on in Gaza. So that's good to hear, isn't it? Picture from Gaza. Israel removes its delegation from peace talks, and IDF do 60 more airstrikes, killing many other people, most of them completely innocent. UN says it's a plausible case that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. I mean, it's only took them how long to figure this out? Famine is looming, or Israel say it's utter nonsense, and say over 70% of Gaza support Hamas. I don't think 70% of Russia supports Putin, but they're not allowed to say they don't. I think Hamas is worse than Putin. So if I lived in Palestine, I'd probably support Hamas in order not to be murdered by Hamas. Doesn't mean they support Hamas. But, you know, it's the Israelis, isn't it? They are getting more and more up my nose, I have to say, the Israelis. In general now. Israel PM agrees to send delegates back to the two lots of peace talks. That was on Friday. On Saturday, the only news was the UN, really. Well, Gaza. The US dropped more aid. It's not a perfect way of doing it by dropping it out of the back of aeroplanes, but it's better than nothing. Just. And 3 UN workers and a translator were injured in an explosion in southern Lebanon. The IDF said it wasn't ours. Of course they would. And then today, 4 dead in an Israeli airstrike at a hospital. Journalists were injured there too. So it's now they're not only killing civilians, they're now killing journalists, or well, injuring journalists as well. They have no morals. They have no compass or anything. These Israelis, and I'm not supporting them from day one in the actions that they're doing, but I'm now getting to the stage where I don't really like Israel Yeah. And the people who support Israel, no. No, no time for them. So yeah, mass genocide, mass killing, mass ethnic cleansing, certainly the latter in Gaza. Thousands of people being maimed and killed by someone who's gone in for a hernia operation. I hope it's painful. Netanyahu has announced today that he's having an hernia operation. I don't know what it is, but if it's painful, then it's a good thing. Anyway, we'll have a news roundup of the week now. So Monday, the 25th of March, Putin concedes that the attack was carried out by Islamic extremists. This is the attack on the theatre that we saw at the end of last week's show, but that says Ukraine were involved. He will not let it go. Again, he's just trying to find any excuse to carry on slaughtering people in Ukraine, which is not something that we condone. But thankfully, not much of the world does condone it, so that's something. I don't know what the difference is between what Putin's doing in Ukraine and what Israel's doing in Gaza. But anyway, 2 found guilty for the murder of Cody, the young kid. Not the young kid, sorry. The young footballer. He was stabbed 22 times in the Crane Club. The 15th of April, it's the first criminal trial for the ex-president Trump over illegal hush money paid to his lady friend. And he says it's weaponization of US government against him. No, weaponization of starvation against the innocent Palestinians is weaponization. Someone who's a criminal and has been taken to trial for being a criminal, that's not weaponization, that's called justice. There's a difference. And there were go-slows in protest with 100 tractors going incredibly slowly around London, causing massive tailbacks. So it's just like a normal Monday, really. Tuesday the 26th, the corrosive attacker in the London was allowed in the UK, or allowed UK asylum, after converting to Christianity, after being turned down before he turned to Christianity. Bearing in mind, he's a sex offender and was on the sex offenders register. So yeah, that's good, isn't it? And it turns out when he was buried in a Muslim Islamic burial, not a Christian burial. So yeah, questions need to be asked about these asylum. And why are we giving asylum to anyone who's committed a crime and on the sex register? I mean, if they're British citizens, then, you know, we have to sort it out. But if they're not legally meant to be here and they're looking for asylum and they're on the you just chuck them out. I don't care. Mini reshuffle after 2 ministers resigned unexpectedly. Well, one of them unexpectedly, one not so, in the government. Barely made the news. And Alan Titchmarsh had his trousers blurred on a 10-year-old show which was being broadcast in North Korea because jeans, or denim, is the sign of the devil. Well, that's what Kim Jong-un says anyway, although we all believe he's got genes. Have you ever been to Boeing Brands? Never heard of it. I won their competition. Never heard of it. So yeah, hello Rollo. It's the dog. 1.75 million hours of sewage was released, and it was double what it was in the year before. The water companies blame the heavy rain. Now, as I've said before, they have made billions of pounds of profit since buying the water companies, which I don't think should have been sold off anyway, and they've not invested in anything. The water network is started in the Victorian ages, and a lot of it is still Victorian, and then a lot was expanded in the 60s and 70s when estates were built. It's not really been touched since then. So if you don't invest in it, it's going to not be fit for purpose, considering how many more things have been built. But they still want the profits, don't they? They're still paying the profits, and they're putting up the price of the water rates by over £100 thereabouts. I think it is. Is it, or is it £20 odd? £20 odd pounds this year to help pay for the infrastructure that they bought, and they're making money from it. Wrong gun, I'm on the register. Of course you are. New record of 4644 illegal migrants have arrived so far this year into the country. This was on Wednesday the 27th. We're now nearer 5,000. The reason for that is because the sea has been unusually calm. Last year they were saying that it was down. The reason it's up this year more is because it's the sea is quieter and therefore it's safer to give it a risk. Whereas last year it was quite choppy and quite windy, although it has been a little bit as well. Thursday the 28th, it seems the post office knew that their defence was false, as they knew that numbers could be altered by Fujitsu or anyone else who had the access to the post office's computer system, but they still proceeded and jailed people, some of whom took their own lives. So again, questions need to be asked. FTX founder gets 20 years for stealing $11 billion from his customers. This was the, well, we'll see him later on in the world news, as reported around the world news. We'll see a lovely picture of him, such a handsome chap. And yeah, bit of a con man it turned out, who'd have thought. Scotland has a bill for assisted dying. Few clauses. You've got to have lived in Scotland for 12 months, sorry, which means you can't just fly in there like Dignitas and do it, and you also have to inject yourself rather than have someone else do it. But again, I think this could be construed. It's not law. It's probably never will get in, but if it did, you'd have to be very careful whoever gives or hands the syringe or whatever device they use, or puts the button next to them that they have to press, that they're not held accountable, because you know it's a very, very risky thing they're doing there. At least 45 people tragically died in South Africa after a coach fell off a bridge. There was one toddler who survived, everyone else died. It was quite a big drop as well, of about 25-30 foot, and the coach burst into flames as well. Just horrendous. Thames Water say 40% rise needed to improve and update infrastructure. No, why don't you get that 40% off the people who you've given payments to for screwing the people of the southeast over the last 15-20 years. You know, all these shareholders you've got, get them to pay for it. And Beyonce releases a country album. And for some reason it made the news. Wrong one's only joking. Good. I was kind of hoping you were. March the 29th. Friday. The leader of the DUP is charged with rape and historical sexual offences and resigns from his position. Shock and horror all over the Senate over this. Is it the Senate? Stormont. There's too many parliaments. Iranian presenter of the news channel in London is stabbed in the leg outside his house in what some people are saying is Iranian attack, because his channel attack the Iranian government for what they're doing at the moment. The Iranian government obviously are denying all charges. Gset Jr. Dies, age 87. He was the first black Oscar winner, a very famous actor. Some pictures coming up later on. And that brings us to today, Sunday the 31st. King Charles makes a public appearance at Windsor Castle after going to the Easter service. There was no Prince or Princess of Wales. The Pope demands at his Easter Mass, calls for a ceasefire in Gaza and to free the hostages. And that was the roundup of the week so far this week. And now things thankfully get a little bit more light-hearted, because the news is just so at the minute. So this brings us to, apparently I'm on the news. Let's have a look. What's going on here? You're now live. Alright, I'm live streaming on YouTube. Who knew? So this brings us to the world news. Now this is where I look at the news as reported in America and Australia mainly, and then every now and then chuck someone else in it as well. And then we will chat about it. Don't forget, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, don't really mind. The main thing is we have a discussion. That's what the chat room's there for. So even in the chat room, give us a shout or a wave or a like or a subscribe or whatever. If you listen to this as a podcast, then by all means feel free to comment as and when in the comments section. So, Russian struck official infrastructure in Lviv with missiles, Ukraine said. A major airstrike that saw one Russian cruise missile briefly fly into Polish airspace. Now, I've no idea why a Russian missile would fly into the airspace of Poland. The main reason being that, I've got to find the maps now. Where are we? There we go. Dum dum dum. Russia is on one side, i.e. all the way over there, and Poland is there. So why is the Polish airspace, when Kyiv's there, Kyiv's in the middle, so why is Poland... This is what will start World War III. I know, slightly terrifying, but anyway, thankfully nothing happens. So he says, when I was a kid we used to joke about see you, you know, we're going from school on a Friday, see you next week unless we get nuked, and now it's a case of kids could say that today as well. It's very worrying indeed. Vaping addict's plea after lungs collapsed twice and she's only aged 20. Now, vaping is becoming a world health issue because, surprisingly, a lot of people don't realise what's in the vapour that they are actually inhaling. A lot of people say, oh, it's just water. There's no water in it. It's even called oil when you buy it in the little tubs. You're inhaling oil into your lungs. And then it's full of chemicals to give you all the flavours and everything. So absolute nonsense. So this young lady here, aged 20, is hoping that her story will inspire people to stop vaping. We can only live in hope. Although, like I said before, I don't think it's going to happen, sadly. Are you in need of a second job? This is Australia. As the cost of living crisis continues in Australia, millions of people are finding they need a second income to make ends meet, according to a survey. People say, oh, it's the Tory government, it's Brexit, it's all this that's causing all the problems in the UK. It's worldwide. I choose Australia because it's as far away as you could possibly get. And they've still got the same problems. Not even joking. A woman spends stolen money on Candy Crush, forking out 180,000 Australian dollars on the app. That translates to about 25 quid. A woman who defrauded a mushroom farm employee for more than 1 million Australian dollars, so that's somewhere in the region of about 300 quid, spent 180,000 on a mobile game, Candy Crush, and she's pleaded guilty to theft and had her bail revoked. She had secretly changed their bank details accounts to be operated by herself. Sneaky so-and-so, but spending on Candy Crush. I don't know you spend money on. I've never played Candy Crush. No, I don't know. Chocolate prices set to skyrocket due to the rising cost of cacao. See, it's not just in the UK. With Easter weekend fast approaching, obviously this was early in the week, lovers of chocolate will be unhappy to hear the delicious treat might be more expensive than they bargained for. High demand and limited supply of cacao is seeing costs skyrocket, leaving shoppers to pay the price. I'm not saying smoking's safe, wrong un. I mean, yeah, but I mean, at least some of it is natural. I know it's treated with chemicals, but some of it's more natural than just pure chemicals. We're going to have, well, I'll be dead by then, but in about 30-40 years' time, we're going to have a health crisis from all these teenagers by the time they get to 50 and 60 who've got massive lung disease, assuming they live that long. That's the problem, and we can stop it because it's so bleeding obvious. Government pushes to raise Australian government minimum wage for the third year in a row. The Albanese government is pushing for a third consecutive wage rise to help Aussies facing the cost of living pressures. In a submission to the Fair Work Commission on Thursday, the government will argue for an increase in line with inflation. Now, the problem with wage rises, as in minimum wage, is small businesses if they're not getting more income, but all their other costs are going up, are going to have to lose staff. So people are actually going to lose their jobs from it. So there's more easier ways of solving this problem than what they've come up with. Southern Brazil suffered some extensive flooding on the 22nd of March. This is clips from a video, and there's another clip. You can see there, well, you might not be able to see it. Let's have a look. Can you see? Oh yeah, you can just about see it, but I'll move it up a bit. You've got a JCB type vehicle there where it's near enough underwater. Got a car that's underwater. So absolutely horrendous scenes in Israel, and there was even cars, and big ones at that, just floating down the street from this heavy rain. Barcelona's Sagrada Familia to be finally completed. It's been a long time coming, not half. The world's largest unfinished Catholic church will finally finish construction, not next week or anything, in 2026, more than 140 years after the first brick was laid. Problem is, in the next 140 years you won't be able to see it, because no doubt they'll have built massive tower blocks around it, because, well, that's what people do, isn't it? Police seize illegally trafficked hedgehogs. Australia, mate. The discovery of 2 illegally trafficked African pygmy hedgehogs in Victoria has sparked a nationwide investigation by authorities. The animals were seized from a property in Richmond in Melbourne's Inner East, leading officers to uncover a large illegal trade network of exotic animals. This is where I get confused. Now in Australia, we've already got a health crisis. They're sniffing coke, swinging, and overdoing it at the gym. Then they blame the jab when they have a stroke. Yeah, well, I'm kind of with you there, Rongan, on that one. You're obviously on a delay at the minute, which is slightly worrying. And Chinese food, yes, brilliant. But yeah, Australia obviously is a very strictly controlled, well, continent. I mean, there's no other way of describing it. It's got a lot of indigenous animals which need to be protected, and it would only take one, well, a male and female probably, of a species to go there and completely overrun the whole thing, and destroy, you know, a lot of the Australian wildlife. So they're very, very keen. So I understand why these illegally trafficked hedgehogs have been, you know, taken away from the people who traffic them. But I have the problem with the words exotic animals. I mean, hedgehogs are cute, but I would never say they were exotic. Now, Australia is very proud of its sporting prowess, and it will always say, when the news, well done to the Aussies who got bronze, and won't mention who got first or second in various sports events. Anyway, the Olympics are coming, so the Australians very proudly posted a picture of the Australian swimming costumes that the athletes will be wearing, and don't they look absolutely fit as, because they're swimmers, of course they are. If I wore a pair of them I wouldn't look like that, I can tell you. The official aquatic uniforms of the Australian Paralympic and Olympic teams for Paris 24 have been unveiled. And there's something special about the kit, but I didn't want to look into that. I was more interested in, I wasn't going to put this up to be fair, I was more interested in this picture here where there's a guy there who's got 2 prosthetic legs, because it did say Paralympics, so you're like, yeah, that's good, inclusive and all that kind of stuff. But then I noticed he didn't have any arms, and I'm like, what? And the only thing I can suggest is that that must be Robert, and they must put some kind of, I don't know, flipper thing on him. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, very impressive. And to get ripped like that as well, must have some really good gym equipment and a very good trainer as well. All 4 of them are healthier than vapes. We at least means to Rollo are watching. Have you heard about sausage dogs potentially being banned in Germany? No idea why. because the Germans might want to eat them, thinking the sausages, because there's a sausage shortage. Authorities seize Molly the Magpie in Queensland, Australia. Molly and Peggy are no more. This unusual internet sensation struck up, that a magpie that won the hearts and a large following on Instagram after befriending an English staffy has been seized by Queensland's authorities. The Department of Environment says the bird was allegedly taken from the wild and unlawfully kept without a permit or a licence. Problem is now, it's pretty much house trained, so it's not going to survive in the wild. So they basically sentenced it to death. And how do you get a licence for a magpie? Is it because they won't get any money for it? Meanwhile, a 2-week youth curfew has been imposed following a series of violent brawls, with the mayor begging for more police protection for residents. Doors being kicked in, cars being turned over, as the youths go wild. And you're thinking, oh, this is Haiti or somewhere like the Middle East, or maybe it's something against Jewish or something against Muslims. No, this is Alice Springs in Australia. That tiny little village slap bang in the middle of Australia, mate, where the youths have realised that they're bored out of hell, so they're just going to smash everything up. I was surprised when I saw the pictures. Well, it was a video. Basically, a young lad there just smashing in the door by kicking it with his heel. Which is not a way I'd ever thought of doing it, but now I've learned that if I ever need to get out of a building when it's on fire or something and door's locked, I won't kick it with my toes, I'll kick it with my heel to get out. So good tips there, survival tips. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they've been watching a lot of Better Grilled survival programmes. Pro-cash activists to protest with Cash Out Day. Will you be participating? Pro-cash activists are set to protest next week, which is this coming week, against Australia's move towards a cashless society. Dubbed Draw Out Some Cash Day. I mean, that's a shit name, isn't it? Draw Out Some Cash Day. I mean, it doesn't even... It's DOSKT. It doesn't even... Activists are encouraging people to draw money out of the ATMs in a bid to pour cash back into businesses. Now, as I've said many times before, Australia is ahead of us in this cashless society. But not all of them are in agreement with it, because it's wrong. These are some of the responses. What a top idea to go cashless. Just a way for government to monitor and control what happens when there is a power outage or a cyber attack. People without smartphones, if they want something for a vending machine, or try a local ice cream man. So when the banks have an outage, how am I supposed to do anything? Which is exactly what's happened in Australia a few times. And obviously we've had the outages that I was talking about last week in the UK, with the payment systems going down in even Greggs, Sainsbury's, Tesco's and places like that. Cashless society is not the future, and it is a way of monitoring. If you come into my shop and you buy something, then people will know, if you use your card, the banks will know that you went to Games and More. They won't know what you bought, but they know how much you spent, where you were at that exact time, how often you go to Games and More and use your card. Whereas if you come in with a 10 quid note and you buy something for 10 quid, there's only me and the person who's buying the product knowing that they've been in Games and More, at what time it was and how much they spent. I mean, that's a minor thing, but it is part of it. And if the banks decide that you can't go to Games and More anymore with your card and you can't get cash out, then I go bust. So yeah, it's completely insane. Sun-obsessed Gen Z behind the Big Apple's tanning craze, with some even addicted to bronzing. Nobody wants to be pale. The Bronze Age is back. Gen Z is behind a Big Apple tanning craze, with saloons across Manhattan seeing a rise in younger clients using UV tanning beds, much to the chagrin of dermatologists who had hoped the sunbeds were a relic of the past. We're seeing younger and younger people getting tans. Have they not been round Britain? I mean, you just walk past a college and there's not a single female these days. Well, there might be about 3 or 4 out of 100 who are not looking like a bronzed Barbie doll. Sean Diddy Coombs, alleged drug mule, arrested as feds intercept rap mogul's private jet in Miami. Rapper Diddy's alleged drug mule was arrested in a Miami airport after federal agents raided the singer's Florida and California homes. Brendan Paul, 25, was arrested at Opelika Airport after the feds intercepted Diddy's plane. He was booked on a 1 count of possession of suspected cocaine and suspected marijuana candy, according to TMZ. The hand of P. Diddy, or Dizzy, or whatever he's called these days. Yep. Usher saw various curious things taking place at Diddy's New York mansion when he was just 14, but now has only decided to say something about it. Usher claims he saw various curious things taking place at Diddy's New York mansion when he was sent to live with him for a year, aged just 14. Why was someone sending someone to live with someone aged 14? So he was sent to Puff Flavor Camp to see the lifestyle in the 90s, he told Howard Stern in a resurface. Oh, it was a 2016 interview where he asked the shock jock, do you understand what it's like? Then we've got this. Francis Scott Keybridge ship was involved in a 2016 incident, port authorities say. So it's not the first time this ship has been involved in something. Admitted, not as serious as this. The same vessel that collapsed a major bridge in Baltimore was also involved in a collision while leaving the port of Antwerp in Belgium in 2016. The Dalai cargo ship was involved in an incident in Belgium, according to Maritime Incident Archive shipwreck log. The Dalai was attempting to leave the container terminal, but clipped another ship. Mind you, I think them things, as we've already found out, are very difficult to control. Worse in Denmark, women over 40 are fried on sunbeds. Yeah, I've seen Final Destination. I know how dangerous they are. Trump's net worth balloons to $6.4 billion, and he joins the list of world's 500 richest people on eve of his media's company's NASDAQ debut. Now, I thought that was a Madame Tussauds waxwork of Trump, but that apparently is a real thing. Former President Donald Trump's net worth jumped to $6.4 billion after the merger between Digital Word Acquisition Corp and Trump Media and Technology Group Corp were officially finalised, according to reports. For the first time ever, Trump will be listed in the world's 500 richest people, which means, luckily for him, he'll be in the top 10 of richest prisoners as well soon. So that'll be good for him, won't it? He's going up in the world, technically by going down. Boyfriend of New York City mum killed in murder-suicide says jealous ex made ominous threats before the killing. A jealous ex-boyfriend allegedly gunned down a Queens mum in a shocking murder-suicide after he ominously warned her no one else can have her. Her devastated ex told the Post. She was a beautiful, beautiful girl who was gunned down by ex-Joseph Murphy, the father of an 11-year-old daughter. People are not acting on warnings seriously enough. I mean, we were talking about the acid attack or the attack earlier on. It's just horrendous. Illinois Parole Board members resign after granting release of man who fatally stabbed 11-year-old boy less than 24 hours later. The chair of the Illinois Prisoner Review Board and a board member have resigned over a backlash for granting release of a man who fatally stabbed his ex-girlfriend's young son less than 24 hours after he was freed. Again, you know, you've got American justice, with British justice is shit, we know that, but American justice, my God. Karen Jean-Pierre blasts insulting radio host for asking if Biden has dementia. I think everyone's asking if Biden's got dementia. It's not having a go at him, it's more concern for him being put in the position he's in. Isn't it? And also the fact he's got his finger on the button. I mean, you know, we've got to be careful. White House Press Secretary grew flustered when asked by North Carolina radio host if President Biden had dementia, saying the inquiry was incredibly insulting before rushing off the call moments later by curtailing and wishing the interviewer an amazing day. Yeah, it's scary. I've said in the local paper, I write in the local paper, and I've said in that, if you saw him walking, you know, through a town centre, you'd be trying to find his carer and ask if he's all right or give him help to get home. And he's like one of the most powerful men in the world. It's frightening. Who is Brendan Paul? Diddys' alleged drug mule arrested as Miami Airport has music and sports background. I didn't realise an airport could have some music and sports background, but there you go. The man arrested on drug charges at Miami Airport as he attempted to board a private jet with Diddy is a 25-year-old basketball player from Ohio. Brendan Paul is an amateur music producer and graduate of Fairmount State University in West Virginia, but he's also been accused of being a drug mule for Diddy. So yeah, we will have to wait and see what comes of that. Mike Tyson selling edibles shaped like a chewed ear, and now you can buy them in New York. Local weed shops are punchy over these new gummies. New York weed shops are stocking their shelves with Mike Tyson branded edible shaped like an ear with bite marks. A callback from Iron Mike's heavyweight showdown with Evander Holyfield, the 57-year-old Brooklyn native who's planning a comeback fight against Jake Paul in July, is rolling out his Tyson bites. Sorry. I mean, you do something like that, and I suppose, you know, Trump used his mugshot to make money, so I suppose, you know, I wonder if the ears, they took a cast or a mould off of the ear of Evander Holyfield. Israel blames collapsed hostage deal on US, allowing UN ceasefire resolution, because obviously Israel's not at fault here. Jeez. Israel's government shaded the US after Biden administration opted to abstain from vetoing a United Nations Security Council resolution that demanded with an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, without conditioning the pause on release of dozens of hostages held by Hamas. The Jewish state recalled its negotiators from Qatar as Prime Minister Netanyahu derided the decision, because obviously Israel is completely in the right, and everything they're doing is perfectly above board. New Jersey politician under fire for sharing meme that calls Easter eggs aborted chicken babies that are painted in drag. Excuse me, a New Jersey councilwoman is getting scrambled for sharing a meme that called Easter eggs aborted chicken babies that are painted in drag, with critics claiming the cuckoo post was an anti-Christian. Paula Gilligan, a councilwoman in the tiny Bergen County of Glen Rock, said in a statement posted on the Manipula website that she shared the apparently common belief of this nonsense. Can't wait for that Tyson fight. You're definitely on a delay. Yeah, I can't wait for it either, because it'd give me an excuse to do something completely different and not turn the telly off. Tearing down pro-Israeli flyers would become a crime in New York under GOP proposals to combat anti-Semitism. Tearing down pro-Israeli posters and flyers will become a misdemeanor under the package of laws proposed. Again, why are we supporting the actions of the IDF in Israel? And if people put stuff up that says I'm with the Israelis killing innocent people in Palestine, you're not allowed to take that down. Yeah, if someone put up I support the murder of Palestinians no, I don't support the murder of Palestinians in Gaza by Israel, but I do support the destruction of Hamas by other means, that would be ripped down and no one would bat an eyelid. The world has gone mad, and I don't understand what the Jewish government has got over everyone. If I find out, then obviously I'll completely change what I say about everything. Yep. Texas man's bizarre new name to launch a US election bid. My hope is to have Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and then literally anybody else right underneath. A Texas man has legally changed his name to literally anybody else before announcing he would run for president in the 2024 election. So you've got Biden and Trump, and then this guy who's changed his name to literally anybody else on the ballot paper as well. I'd have changed it to none of the above, and you know, get voted in. Police in New Zealand have executed a search warrant after a rainbow crossing in Auckland's Hope Road was painted white on Thursday. The vandalism is being treated as hate crime, with police continuing their search for the 3 people seen in the video. So this is a video of a rainbow crossing being painted white, and it's now a crime apparently to do that. I support a dental appointment for me. Okay, wrong. That seems reasonable. And they've referred to it as vandalism as well. But the big question is, why are we pandering to minorities? I mean, yeah, what they did was wrong. But why are councils and governments around the world spending money on minorities and then letting the majority of people put up with crap? That money would be better spent, as Spock said, a very wise made-up character. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And basically, we should be looking after the majority of the population and treating everyone equally, rather than spending excess money painting rainbow-coloured crossings and doing other nonsense. We should be looking after children who are starving because the parents can't afford to feed them, or other stuff. It's just priorities are completely wrong at the moment. There are people who need to be looked after who are being ignored for the sake of a minority within a minority. Most of the people I know who are in minority groups are fed up with the minority within their group causing all this crap. Rob Reiner says he would give anything for Taylor Swift to endorse Biden. I bet he would. Hollywood director Rob Reiner would give anything for Taylor Swift to endorse President Biden for re-election publicly. I'm in the midst of shooting a sequel to This Is Spinal Tap. As much as I'd like Taylor Swift to do a cameo in the film, I'd give anything for her to endorse Joe Biden. She would virtually single-handedly save American democracy. I mean, I know she's one of the most powerful women in the world, but let's be fair, at the end of the day, she's a fucking singer. Rudy Giuliani said he shouldn't be forced to sell his $3.5 million Florida condo in a bankruptcy case because he needs it for podcasting. Well, there's a man who's living in the same planet as everyone else. Rudy Giuliani says he shouldn't be forced into selling his condo because he needs a place to record his podcast once his Manhattan apartment is sold. Now, isn't this the case that if you go bankrupt because you're a bit of a crook, you lose everything? And it's not like, oh well, you've got a 3.5 million Florida condo, we'll let you keep that then so you can still do your podcast there. Absolute nonsense. Deranged people, old irrelevant man. Oi! That's no way to talk about me. Wrong. Talking of old irrelevant men. Trump orders $200 worth of burgers from Long Island drive-in for a flight home after NYPD officers wake. He's making All-American great again. The former president rang up a $200 fast food tab while on Long Island after paying respects to slain NYPD officer Jonathan Diller. While heading to his private jet en route back to Florida, Trump and his campaign staff travelled westbound and stopped off at the drive-in, or as we like to call it, a drive-through. Not you. Well, thank you, Rongan. Biden leaves New York City with scandal-plagued son Hunter for Easter at Camp David without mention of this fallen NYPD cop. Now, basically, the story goes that this cop was slain in the ever-increasing gun crime in New York. Former President Trump went to the funeral home to pay his respects. Biden went on holiday. Two Florida 10-year-olds busted for a $300 gun deal at elementary school. It's a very sad situation. What do you expect? A pair of baby-faced Florida 10-year-olds were arrested this week for a $300 gun sale deal brokered inside a local elementary school. County Oaks Elementary in La Belle was put under immediate lockdown after a concerned parent called administrators and told them a child alerted her that a classmate was in possession of a gun, and they were basically flogging it for $300. Just think how many Mike Tyson gummies you could get for that. Probably about 5. Strap hanger drags body off NYC subway in wild video to help get the train moving. Only in New York. No, I can imagine this would happen anywhere. Whatever city you're in the world, whatever town you're in, people would say only in Wigan, people would say only in Grimsby, only in London. But anyway, a wild video shows an impatient strap hanger. It's basically someone who hangs onto the strap in a subway. Don't know what a strap hanger is. Dragging the limp body of a drugged up commuter off a subway car in an effort to jumpstart the service. The crazy clip posted shows the person being dragged off the platform at 59th Street and Lexington Avenue as a crowd of commuters watch in horror. I mean, these people need help who are druggies. I know that, but a lot of them won't actually respond to the help. And I genuinely have no problem with what the guy did. I mean, I wouldn't want to touch the person myself because you don't know if they've got any needles or anything in them, but you know, I can see where he was coming from. Workers were on break in their cars when the Baltimore bridge collapsed, survivor's wife says. The wife of one of the construction workers who survived the collapse of the Baltimore bridge said they were on a break when the tragedy struck. And it's a miracle her husband survived because he can't swim. All of the men were on a break in their cars when the boat hit. We don't know if they were warned before the impact, the wife of Julio Cervantes told NBC News. Now, the thing that gets me about this was an American ship, not an American ship, sorry, American bridge in America, and it was being repaired by a load of basically migrants. They were from like El Salvador and I think Brazil and things like that. There were no Americans on there. So you can't have it both ways, can you? But the tragedy obviously struck the ship. If you see the videos, I was going to show the video, but well, everyone's seen it already anyway. But if you see the video, you'll notice that it's night time and the ship's all lit up and then all the lights go out. And then they come on again, and then they go out again, and then they come on again, by which point the ship is out of control. Because the rudder of a ship, it needs, this is the rudder of the ship, it needs the water going through it in order to actually work. So the propellers, not only do they push the water, but they also force water around the rudder, which gives it the ability to steer and to hold itself as well. But when there's no water going there, the rudder can go limp, and if it goes limp, the ship then goes off course, and the more off course it goes, the limper the rudder gets, so therefore the more it turns. And the problem you've got is you're on water, so it's not like you can put the brakes on or anything, and it's not like you can steer it back again really quickly. So yeah, personally I think it's a tragic accident. The big question for me is, okay, the bridge was built 50 odd years ago in the 1970s when these ships weren't even thought of. But these ships have been around for a while now. One would have thought that they would have come up with better safeguards for the pillars of the bridge that are in the water by building something around the pillars in the bridge that would stop a ship getting close enough to hit the pillars of the bridge. Because other people have said, why did the bridge collapse so quickly? Well, again, I'm not an engineer, but yeah, if you take out that if you've got a bridge that's being held up there and being held up there, and then there's another massive gap before it's held up again, and you take that out, well, that's obviously going to fall down. It's not going to stay up on its own. Otherwise, why would you have that there in the first place? Because that falls down, that pulls down, and then it pulls this one down. You know, it's basic physics. But yeah, it was an absolute tragedy what happened, and hopefully lessons will be learnt. But I do fear that they won't, because it's going to cost money, isn't it? The good news was that the pilots on the ship, pilots being the local harbour workers who take over the ships to guide them in and out because they know the harbour's like the back of their hands and all the little sandbanks and how to spin it around and all that kind of stuff to get it in the right place on the docks. They give a warning to the bridge operators, and the bridge operators stopped all traffic going on the bridge. Sadly, there were these 8 workers on the bridge doing the potholes who, if they were warned, didn't have time to get off the bridge. Chances are they weren't warned because of time. It all happened so quickly. Even when you watch the clip, you'll see a big rig, an 18-wheeler, a semi-articulator lorry, whatever you want to call it, wherever you are in the world, going over the bridge, big white thing, and it just disappears out of shot. And not long after that, the bridge is struck by the thing, the bolt. I say the thing, it was massive. Hello, Lainey. Hope you're good. An officer and gentleman and Roots star, Louis Gset Jr, dead, aged 87. Louis Gset Jr, the first black man to win a supporting actor Oscar and an Emmy, winner for his role in the seminal TV miniseries Roots, has died. He was 87. Gset's nephews told the Associated Press that the actor died in Santa Monica, California. No cause of death was revealed. Gset always thought of his early career as a reverse Cinderella story, with success finding him from his early age and then kind of petering out as he got older. So it happens that way sometimes. But if you make your money when you're young, then you got longer to spend it. Could buy a bra. DJ humiliated on Delta flight for not wearing a bra and demands to meet with the airline's bosses. A Delta passenger who says she was threatened with being kicked off a flight because she was not wearing a bra has demanded to meet the airline's boss, claiming she was targeted and humiliated in the boob barella. Lisa Barbarella, boobarella, yeah, very good. Lisa Archibald said she boarded a flight to from Salt Lake City to San Francisco while wearing baggy jeans and a loose white t-shirt without the bra. Alright, so she wasn't wearing the costume she's got there. Does it really make a difference if someone's wearing a bra or not? It's not a safety issue, is it? And if any young kids on there, they'll just think lunch. Biden pokes fun at Boeing and quips, "I don't sit by the door" on Air Force One. So he's got a sense of humour still. I'm surprised he even remembers the name of his plane. President Biden joked that he steers clear of doors on the presidential plane manufactured by Boeing, the aircraft maker beset by a series of recent mid-air mishaps. Biden made the quip at his high-dollar campaign fundraiser at Radio City Music Hall when asked by CBS Stephen Colbert if he had transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg typing the bolts on Air Force One prior to travelling. So it was a joke and he responded to the joke. That's actually quite good. Well done, Biden. Possible Moonshine cave discovered below grandstands in a historic NASCAR racetrack. A possible Moonshine cave was found hidden beneath the concrete grandstands at a North Carolina NASCAR racetrack. The discovery was made last week at the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway, built in 1947, where rumours about secret moonshine still have abounded for decades, according to the local news. Workers at the track found the hidden cave while checking the grandstand for damage after a sinkhole formed. Now, NASCAR, which is like saloon car racing, think of IndyCar racing but saloon cars, so basically they go around tracks very, very quickly. The reason NASCAR exists is because of moonshine. Because in the 1930s and 1940s, alcohol was prohibited in America, so they'd make moonshine in various remote places, and they all had fast cars. So they started racing each other, all these moonshiners, to see who had the fastest cars, and that developed into NASCAR because they found they could actually make money from people coming and watching them do that. Obviously, they didn't tell people who were doing that, but there was a lot of the original NASCAR tracks have remnants of distilleries where moonshine was made and bottled, usually underground. And you're thinking, you're very knowledgeable about this, aren't you? Yeah, it's because I watched Abandoned Engineering, and there's a NASCAR track in America that's been abandoned for decades, and it's had a partial collapse near one of the stands, and that's where it was basically like a bunker where they made all the moonshine and everything, right in front of everyone who's actually watching the racing. So there you go then, NASCAR history lesson. You're welcome. Thank you, Yesterday TV. So you do pay attention occasionally. Sean Diddy Coombs, alleged drug mule, looks worried in body cam videos showing his arrest on drug charges. He's just been arrested for drug carrying, being a mule. Of course you're going to look worried. I don't know who these kin experts are, but they're starting to do my kin head in. Like the one who said last week that the Princess of Wales looked uneasy in her statements to the world, telling people that she was being treated for cancer. Of course she's uneasy. She's 40 odd years old. She's just been diagnosed with cancer. She's got a young family, and then she has to sit in front of a camera and do a speech to people. Of course she looked uneasy, as did this guy, for completely different reasons. Fleet of massive cranes arrive at Baltimore's Keybridge to begin clearing the wreckage following the deadly collapse. The first piece of the collapsed Francis Scott Keybridge was slated to be lifted out of the river in Maryland following the arrival of a fleet of massive cranes. Officials said, "I'm really proud to announce that the governor said we're going to conduct our first lift today," which was yesterday, "on a piece of partition of the bridge." So hopefully they can get a bit of the channel cleared so that they can get the ship sailing again and get the economy going in Maryland, because it's going to cause a lot of problems otherwise. And it's not like the crash scene investigators need to actually, look too hard at what went wrong. Any news on Wigan Watch? Nothing's really happened. I did that interview with Tom. I think I've done another Wigan Watch since. I don't know whether I have or not. I've filmed some, but I've not actually done any more yet. Dogs caused $3,000 in damage after tearing apart a car whilst chasing a cat. The cat got away, but not before thousands of dollars in damage was done. Two dogs tore apart a Florida woman's car while trying to reach a feline hiding inside the engine. Christine Barr was shocked when she woke up to see a vehicle torn up with an estimated $3,000 in repairs. Yeah, it's you don't expect that, do you, when you wake up? And then you see the footage from your CCTV and it's a couple of dogs chasing a cat. Trump under fire over shocking Truth social post showing hogtied Biden image on truck. Former President Donald Trump is under fire for sharing a video on Truth Social of a pickup truck with an image of a hogtied President Biden on the back. The vehicle is adorned with pro-Trump and pro-police blue line flags, along with a massive decal on the truck's rear end showing Biden lying horizontally, bound by ropes. Yeah. Oh, I've done that one. Biden declares Easter Sunday as Transgender Day of Visibility. You've started to get me respect again with his quip about not sitting near the doors on the Boeing Air Force One. President Biden this week declared Transgender Day of Visibility for March 31st, which this year is Easter Sunday. I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., present the United States of America by virtue of the authority vested on me in the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim March 31st, 2024 as Transgender Day of Visibility. Absolute nonsense. Of course, it took him 4 hours to say that because he talks very, very slowly indeed. But he hasn't got any health issues, so we're all right. Don't worry about it. He's no Billy the Kid. Elderly Robert allegedly owes up a New York City bank nearly 31 years after his last heist. A pistol-packing septenarian allegedly held up an Upper East Side bank last week, nearly 31 years to the day after his last bank heist. Authorities said Sherrod Young of Harlem was foiled by modern-day technology, which stunned his family. It's shocking to everyone, his sister Sadie Randolph told the Post. My brother is 73 years old. 73 years old. We didn't know he had it in him. Yeah, he's got it in him. He's got it in him. I don't know. A New York City family slain. New York family of slain 16-year-old sues gun manufacturer for negligence. The family of a 16-year-old girl shot dead. Steps from her South Bronx high school is suing the maker of the untraceable gun used in the shooting. She was killed on April the 8th, 2022 on her way home from university prep. It's a ghost gun is a gun that doesn't have any markings on it, so you can trace it back. And it fatally struck the teen with a stray bullet. So the family taking the gun company to court. Now that could be interesting. I don't necessarily agree it's the gun manufacturer's fault, but it might, you know, will kind of thing. New York kindergarten students learning about penises, vulvas, and through cities HIV/AIDS curriculum. New York City public school students as young as 4 are learning the ABCs of HIV in kindergarten, including through a book that identifies vulvas and penises. The Post has learnt the city's Highwards curriculum, which was revamped in September, centres on lessons for 4 to 5-year-olds around a book called These Are My Eyes, This Is My Nose, This Is My Vulva, These Are My Toes. But I don't know if you can read that or not, but it says some boys have penises, but not all boys. Remember to always use your manners and ask, what may I call you? Yeah, you were right, Lainey. The world has gone mad. I mean, I wouldn't mind. They've gone to the trouble of making all this. That money could have been spent in New York City on better equipment for the kids, all the kids in schools, stuff like that, without this nonsense. California couple ordered to stop filling in neighbourhood potholes themselves, and they say we've begged the city for help. April Fool's Day tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, not today, and this was on Thursday. A fed up California couple has been offered to stop repairing the local roads themselves that the local government wouldn't fix, which caused several problems with their vehicles. Alex and Daisy De La Rosa were issued a cease and desist letter from the city of Compton because they took it upon themselves to fill the potholes, which have wreaked havoc on the streets. What is the problem with people filling the potholes in? Yeah, they might not be able to fill it in as well as the council might not be able to fill it in as well as, but at least it'll get done, and then the council can still come round and finish it off. As long as they're paying for it, I don't really care. Imagine if you had your stepdaughter in your lap and you said that to her. Oh, you go to prison. A newly revealed archive of East Village Eye newspaper gives unusual view into forgotten New York City underground. An influential underground newspaper that chronicled East Village's transformation downtown, seen in the 80s, can now be read with fresh eyes at a mid-town institution. All 72 issues of the East Village Eye were acquired by New York Public Library and have now been made available for review by New Yorkers at the main 5th branch. Basically, it's the American New Romantics, which spurred on clubs in the UK, including the one where Steve Strange, Boy George, Gary Kemp, Bowie, and various other people hung out. It was very cool. I was never cool, so I never hung out anywhere. Arizona declares Pluto as its official state planet, even though it's not a planet. Arizona has declared Pluto as its official state planet despite it being regulated or relegated to dwarf planet nearly 2 decades ago. Governor Kate Hobbs signed legislation on Friday and afterwards dodged a question about whether or not Pluto is a fully fledged planet. I mean, these people are running, you know, very large areas. It's quite scary that they come up with crap like this. Barge strikes bridge in Oklahoma, shutting down a highway. The Oklahoma State Patrol said on Saturday that it closed the highway south of Salisal after a barge struck a bridge over the Arkansas River. Troopers closed the South US Highway about 1:25 p.m. after receiving word of the incident and diverted traffic from the area. It will remain closed until safety checks are carried out, but it's a concrete bridge and therefore less likely to sustain severe damage, but it may need some repairs. First section of the mangled steel removed from collapsed Baltimore Key Bridge on schedule. Engineers began carefully removing the first twisted hunk of steel from the collapsed part of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge late on Saturday with the help of several massive cranes. The nearly 50-year-old bridge crashed into the Patapsco River in Maryland on Tuesday after a massive cargo ship smashed into one of its main supports, killing 6 construction workers and blocking shipping traffic into and out of the port of Baltimore. And that is the world news, which brings us to the news that makes me go, oh, and other such weird things that one says on occasion. We'll start off with a few bits that made me laugh that I caught on the internet, which are, well, just social media stuff, including a couple of Banksies. People love a Banksy. So this is from Viz Comic. If you're not familiar with Viz, it's a comic for adults, and people write into it. I was delighted when the kind people at the Inland Revenue wrote to me recently telling me that my tax return was outstanding, particularly since I can't even remember sending it in. Genius. Easy for him to type. And then if you're an old gamer from the 1980s, particular, late 80s, Commodore blog on Twitch/X says sex is great, but have you ever used Xcopy from 1988? And basically this was a copy device that you could copy 3.5-inch floppy disks onto well, you copy the games onto other ones, and yeah, I used it as well. Xcopy. It does bring back memories, that screen. To be fair, it wasn't the most reliable thing ever, but you know, it was a bit of fun. Avoid getting pissy splashes on your new shoes in public toilets by taking them off just before you step up to the urinal. Genius. Genius. Sorry. Women won't get that, but let's just say that urinals are notoriously wet where you put your feet. You think that some people who use them will have like a garden hose that they couldn't control. You know them garden hoses when they're on full power and they're like a snake. You think their winkies were like that, the amount of pee that doesn't go in the urinal. So yeah, take your shoes off. What could possibly go wrong? Apart from diphtheria. A nice Banksy painting there. Out of context, so no idea what it's about. But I do like it. Very good. I worked at the Stonehouse Hotel next to Action Replay Company. All right, okay. Jimmy Carr. Jesus says he loves me, but I worry about the age gap. Sorry. Oh, it's a bit worrying, isn't it, when you got the same kind of sense of humour as Jimmy Carr, but you know, what can you do? Another Banksy. I'm forever blowing bubbles. Oh, we're back on yesterday's gaming session there, where we were playing Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Talking of gaming, has anyone ever played the really weird game Death Stranding? Brit lorry driver is the first in history to climb Mount Kilimanjaro carrying a fridge. Michael Copeland scaled the 19,340 foot dormant volcano with a 30-kilogram kitchen appliance strapped to his back, becoming the first person in history ever to complete the feat. Probably the last person in history ever to complete the feat as well. Because who the comes up with these ideas? I know what I'll do. I'll strap a massive fridge to my back and then I'll climb up Kilimanjaro, because no one's ever done it before. There's a fucking reason no one's ever done it before, because it's a fucking stupid idea. Alright, someone's talking about weekly parking. Yeah, that guy's an absolute nutter. He should be delivering pizzas. Oh, he's lost his job. Pizza giant Papa John's announced closure of 43 UK branches. Takeaway Titans Papa John's has announced it plans to close 43 underperforming venues across in the UK over the next 2 months. There's a lot. It's the end of the financial year. A lot of companies and shops and things will be going tatty bye-bye very soon due to increased costs, including, as I mentioned before, the minimum wage going up. I mean, I can imagine Papa John's every branch has pizza ovens, what them being a pizza joint, and lots of fridges, keep all the food fresh and chilled, and there's no cap on electricity charges for businesses, so it makes sense if they're underperforming and the wages going up as well, and insurance going up and everything else going up, that you have to shut shops. It's a sad sign of the times. Time to be alone. It's the sign of the times. White House haunted by Abraham Lincoln's ghost, a Secret Service agent claims. And there's a picture of the ghost. I'll tell you what, looks better as a ghost than he does. I know. A crack Secret Service operative says she heard strange voices and footsteps in the halls of the White House, and is sure she encountered the ghosts of the mansion's former residents. No, I think she just bumped into Joe Biden on his own going to the bathroom. I can see where the mistake comes from. Female humanoid robot cannot talk about sex or politics because it's illegal. Saudi Arabia has unveiled its first humanoid robot named Sarah, who reflects the national values of the country by being unable to discuss sex or politics because it's illegal for women to discuss such things. And rightly so, I say. UK nightlife suffers huge blow as 20 Revolution bars look set to shut forever. Again, like I say, this is, I mean, the number of issues you've got going on here. Hospitality, whether it's takeaway or whether it's destination hospitality, fewer people are going out now because we haven't got the money to go out. Therefore, if fewer people going out, but minimum wages are rising, so you have to pay your staff more money, and your electric costs are going up for all your fridges and everything else, it doesn't make it viable anymore. So yeah, the beloved bar chain, adored by students up and down the country, announced the closure of 8 venues, and now Revolution Bar could be shutting even more boozers for good. It's that time of year when lots of places do disappear over the next 2 or 3 months. UK will see countrywide snow and mid-20s heatwave in April of 2 halves. So weather forecasts reckon countrywide snow could be on the cards at the start of April, with temperatures then possibly reaching the mid-20s and hitting the heatwave threshold later that month. So we're going to get our bits frozen off, and then we're going to get them melted. Can't wait. Vampires, zombies and werewolves are all real, and Britain's full of them. Dr. Sharpless says tales of vampires rising from the grave to suck blood from the living, like the main protagonist in Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, may be not so far-fetched. Yeah, I think Dr. Sharples is not very sharp. Pub of the Year, stripped of title after Nazi memorabilia found on display. The Hole in the Wall in Bodmin was named the best pub in the country by Camera, partly due to its unique decor, but the landlord has now been faced to remove said items and give back his trophy. Having said that, is it me or is there a massive amount of dust on that ball thing hanging up there? Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Look at that dust there on that. It should have won the award for the filthiest pub. I'm not angry, I'm just decimated. There we go. So yeah, got done for it. Beer festival compared to Willy Wonka sham, cold sight, rude staff and bad booze. Manchester's first ever international brewing and cider festival has gone down like a lead balloon, with punters comparing it to the ill-fated Glasgow Willy Wonka event. I must admit it does look shite. I don't know how much it costs to get in as well. UK weather map show 10 centimetres per hour snow blast coming in the next 10 hours. Yeah, that was on Wednesday. Bird flu found in milk as cows' infection was only a matter of time, experts say. Signs of bird flu in cows and milk were only a matter of time, according to experts, who believe a rise in mammal infections of HSN1 was expected, with a higher risk transmission period on the way, which basically means if you drink the milk and it's not been pasteurised properly or whatever, we may end up with it in humans. UK coast packed full of fish high on cocaine as drugs flood into rivers and seas. The marine animals that call the UK shoreline their home are now full of cocaine, as well as a cocktail of other drugs Brits regularly consume, due to a record high sewage spills. So when you take your drugs, guys, I don't obviously, because I don't believe in that kind of thing, but if you do, and then you go wee wee and poo poo, the drugs end up in the sewage system, and then the sewage companies who make billions of pounds of profit decide that they can't be arsed treating it, so they just pump it into the rivers. And then your favourite crab, looks a bit like a predator to be fair, but your favourite crab ends up getting high. Although technically it's low because it's at the bottom of the sea. I'm a psychic and I've spoken to Princess Diana from the grave. I've spoken to Princess Diana from the grave. No, you haven't, you silly old woman. I say old woman, she's only 28. Nonsense. Cadbury's accused of erasing Easter as it sells Jester eggs instead. Cadbury's have been accused of erasing Easter after shoppers spotted the supermarket selling Jester eggs instead of Easter eggs. But the company has hit back at the claims. But yeah, I must admit, it doesn't say Easter on any of the eggs. Met Office issues danger to life warning due to hail, thunder and 70-mile-an-hour wind. Never happened. It's been a bit wet down south, and they're not used to it to be fair, but yeah. Scaremongering. UK city overrun by giant beefed up seagulls dubbed XL Gullies. Scousers are raging over the giant seagulls taking over the city as Councillor Tom Crone, leader of Liverpool's Green Party, urges everyone to stop dropping litter and feeding them. You're not feeding them, they just take it out of your hand. It's hilarious. Yeah, that's Liverpool from an angle I've never seen before. You've got the Three Graces to your right, and then you've got the air vent, or the very dramatic building that looks like a mini church. That's the air vent for the tunnel, the Mersey tunnel, and then in the background you've got the arena. Next to it you've got the spinny thing that you go on, and then in between you've got the Albert Dock. But yeah, not an angle I'm familiar with, although I am familiar with Liverpool. Human brains are getting bigger and could buffer diseases like dementia. Scientists say a larger brain structure represents a larger brain reserve and may buffer the late life effects of age-related brain diseases like Alzheimer's and forms of dementia. It kind of makes sense. The other problem is it's going to take like 300 or 400 years for the brains to actually develop, so it's not going to help us now, is it? That's one thing I do worry about getting old, is losing my mind. And then people say, have you seen your videos? We think you lost it a long while ago. A driver hit and killed pedestrian because he was doing air guitar at the wheel. Motorist Brent James Kiernan, 21, faces a potential 10 years behind bars after killing a pedestrian, Justin McNeil, because he was playing air guitar to the radio whilst he was driving. 10 years, is that all? Unbelievable. How would I rate UK cities 1 to 5? It depends what you mean by rates. 1 being good, 5 being, yeah. London, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, I put between 1 and 2. because they're quite good. I like them. Grimsby, which isn't a city, I put at 35, even though it only goes to 5, and it's not a city. But well, we don't follow rules anyway. Meghan Markle should flog cream for frostbitten. I don't know what they're saying. Meghan Markle should flog cream for frostbitten todgers, a commentator says. With her new luxury lifestyle brand American Rivian Orchard, Meghan Markle could venture out into other royal family inspired products like hydrating face mists for creepy uncles who can't sweat. And yeah, I think they're on about fridges. Yes, when people are fridges, that's it. Cop fighting monkey gangs now wield slingshots as animals are too good at dodging. Monkey gangs are menacing the population so badly police are now arming themselves with slingshots as the crazed animals are capable of dodging the tranquilizer darts usually used. Now, tranquilizer dart I think travels faster than a slingshot, so I don't actually see, and the tranquilizer dart is probably more accurate as well. Hunter asks police if shooting Bigfoot is legal but vows to leave the female alone. The keen hunter wanted to know if he needed a special license to hunt a mythical creature on an expedition in the Big Meadow Lake area in America's Pacific Northwest. But he'll leave the woman alone. Why, you see? It's not equality, is it? Women in the world should be going, no, you need to shoot the woman first. Or shoot the two at least. Dad disowns Brit traitor son fighting for Putin after living like a hermit. Ben Stimson has been disowned by his father Martin after he travelled to the Donetsk to fight for Vladimir Putin, whilst he told his dad he was going to go and be a teaching assistant. Yeah, I think I'd disown him as well, to be fair. A new Loch Ness Monster theories circulate after tourist snaps picture of 8-foot beast. The Loch Ness Monster is one of the world's most famous cryptids, with hundreds of sightings reported over the years, and one holidaymaker has caused a stir in what some believe is evidence. But that just could be a trout coming out of the water, and she says it was 8 foot long, and it was 8 inches long. 8 inches long being about that big. Yeah, like that big, 8 inches long. So yeah, nonsense. Experts say hundreds of millions would die in the first 72 minutes of nuclear war. No, Sherlock. An expert, well, hey, where did they drag these up from? Has written in a new book about the tactics and technology of nuclear warfare, and he's warned, in the event of a launch being detected, the future of mankind will be determined in just 6 minutes. No poo, Sherlock. Wow. What would we do without experts? I mean, who knew that a full-scale nuclear war with the nuclear war capabilities that we've got now would be over in less than an hour? Who knew? It terrifies me, these experts. 7 days of snow coming as maps show 5 centimetres per hour from south to Scotland. So it's gone down from 10 centimetres per hour. Scaremongering. The UK is facing 7 straight days of intense snow as advanced weather modelling maps show the white stuff falling from the far north of Scotland to the south coast of England. What I mean by the white stuff is it's a cocaine drop gone wrong, and it's just coming out of the plane, unfortunately. Meghan Markle sees herself as Diana's heir and is cashing in on her legacy. Former actress and Duchess, Meghan is made use of an important Diana charity anniversary to create buzz for her latest venture, according to an expert in the royal family. So maybe she didn't know anything about this, and she's just done something and it coincidentally occurred, because she's not the brightest spark, is she, Meghan? World War III fears grow among world leaders as difficult days ahead, warning issued. Serbian President Alexander Vučić has warned difficult days are ahead for his country as fears of new conflict in the Balkans continue to grow amid series of worrying developments. You know what I say? I say, Vučić. Thank you. I'm here all minute. Sorry. Let's have some Greg's. Greg's staff to wear body cameras following surge in sausage roll thefts. The baker's chain has found itself forced to protect staff and stock alike with surveillance measures after an uptick in theft and violent acts against employees. What do you mean you haven't got any steak bakes? Something I really have. Why haven't you got any steak bakes? One steak bake. I can't pay because your computer system's gone down. Shameless old farts love to let rip in public and say it's harder to hold in. Britain's baby boomers are shamelessly letting rip in public at a much higher rate than their younger counterparts, a survey found, claiming their advancing years made it harder to hold in. Now I can concur that I do fart quite a lot. But I think when you're younger, it's probably louder as well. Well, no, I don't know, because everything's tighter there, so it'll like go like coming out like that. Where when you're older, it kind of goes, or not. I don't know. That's a follow through. Oh, on time. Thank you. That's twice I've done that now. Waterborne diseases on rise in UK as number of Brits hospitalised skyrockets 60%. Oxford and Cambridge brought race organisers have warned rowers of jumping into the water following the races, with some competitors reportedly becoming ill after picking up infections. Yeah. But it's alright because the water companies are making millions of pounds in profit. Putin plagued with health fears. Putin plagued with health fears, heart attacks to rapidly progressing cancer. The Russian dictator is regularly the focus of rumours about his health, including the fact he's been dead for 6 months. And here we take a look at some of the speculation that Mad Vlad can't seem to shake off. Like the fact there's 3 of them. It's mad. Baltimore bridge disaster result of poor engineering and could be repeated. It wasn't poor engineering. The bridge has stood up for 50 years. It's taking more traffic than it's ever took before. It was poor remedial engineering, i.e. building something to stop big ships like that crashing into it, because surely to God it was only a matter of time. An expert has claimed the disaster at the Francis Scott Keybridge could have been avoided if the structure had sufficient defence mechanisms that are seen on many other bridges. Yeah, if you build a bridge now, you will build it with more. Bet Putin can let rip. Well, he talks a lot of shit, so yeah, I can imagine. Oh no, tragic news again, folks. Brits face chaos with London underwater and swarms of insects and 40-degree summers. Exclusive! Jim Dale, senior meteorologist consultant at British Weather Services, has identified 5 aspects of climate change that all Brits need to be worried about. Unless you're over 50, in which case you'll probably be dead before any of it happens. So you don't worry about it. Just enjoy the 40-degree summers. A wanted man was not happy with his mugshot, so he texts a selfie to the cops. Here's a better photo. Pugh was eventually arrested, but wasn't before he saw his mug circulating, and instead of handing himself in, handed in a better picture of himself to police by text message. Which is genius and incredibly stupid. It's like, that picture you've got of me is terrible. You can't identify me. So I'd be like, yeah, keep using that one. Not, no, I'll send you a better one so more people can identify me. Oh look, there's that guy off that bill poster that we've seen. There's that guy off that X thing that the police department have published. Absolute nonsense. No wonder he got caught. Not the brightest spark in the world. Although, I don't know what he did, to be fair. Soldiers can now grow beards after a 100-year ban, but only if King Charles agrees. The policy change required consent from King Charles, who is Commander-in-Chief, and means soldiers on leave over Easter can put down their razors and start wicking on their beards. So yeah, we could have bearded army people in the army that have got beards. I'm still trying to figure out why this guy is having a shave outside. Anyway, talking of which, you've at least hear there's another shaving video coming soon. It's everyone's favourite. It's no one's favourite, to be honest with you. Old newspaper predictions from 1924 predicted extinct horses to ever-moving pavements, while beds that fling children out of them in the morning aren't quite on the production line yet. A number of points in the newspapers predicted 100 years ago have certainly come true. Although there is that advert for Shreddies, isn't there, where that young lad gets sent out of his bed and down a pipe and lands at the kitchen table, which would be very embarrassing if he was doing something to himself that teenagers do, you know. Texting, I was thinking then, obviously. The list of things that certainly bear some truths include automobiles travelling on speedways through the centre of town, yeah. Ever-moving sidewalks, yeah. I mean, basically, that's kind of escalators. And if you go to airports and places like that, there are moving things, so yeah. And motor cars increasing and multiplying indefinitely, which has definitely happened as well. Because in 1924, very few people had cars. But cars were the new thing. They were like spaceships. So in 100 years' time, will we all have spaceships? In the year 2024, the most important single thing which the cinema will have helped in a large way to accomplish will be that of eliminating from the face of this civilized world all armed conflict. Pictures will be the most powerful factor in bringing about this condition. With the use of the universal language of motion pictures, the true meaning of the brotherhood of man will have been established throughout the earth. All men are created equal. What a lovely thought from 100 years ago. Sadly, moving images have actually destroyed the planet, but not in the cinemas necessarily, more on social medias and devices that they couldn't have even dreamt of. Other things shared with the cuttings hark back to our predictions that people would live to be 100 years old, and while this of course isn't a blanket rule, it's far from uncommon these days. So yeah, they were quite foresightful in the past about the future. So where will they be in 100 years' time? Will we have flying cars? Will we need cars? Will we just teleport everywhere? Will the human race be gone? All or none of them may be true, or not. Spain ballistic missile fears subside. As it turns out, Elon Musk is responsible. There was fears in Spain because they saw a fireball going through the sky and they thought it was an attack. A mystery flying object captured soaring over Barcelona caused concern after experts revealed it was a possible ballistic missile. But no, it's just one of Elon Musk's weird rockety, experimenty things. So don't panic, everyone, don't panic. I'm dating both girlfriend and ghost. She's not jealous of supernatural lover. Why would you be jealous of a ghost? Because they don't exist. A self-styled ghost guide has explained that as well as living with her girlfriend, she's involved with the spirit of an 18th century soldier she knew in a past life. Cuckoo. Someone's let a bird in here. Putin tried to arrest a bloke for having strangled a cop despite the bloke having no hands. After getting into a dispute with a local government over land, the man found himself on the receiving end of brutal intimidation tactics from authorities, who also levelled the unlikely accusation. He strangled a cop and he's got no hands. Yep, that seems plausible to me. What a bastard. This one made me laugh. Woman fumes in angry note after construction workers take her toilet virginity. A woman has been left fuming after a workman at her house took her toilet virginity, and she even wrote an angry note expressing her disgust at their behaviour. What they should have done is wash away the skid marks and she'd be none the wiser. Probably. I don't know. We haven't had any genitalia fun, have we, this week? Doctor warns lads about catastrophic injuries from botched penis ops abroad. A leading UK physician who does penis operations warned the dangers of penis enlargement surgery abroad after a surge of demand for the procedure. and says the problem has got worse since lockdown. I'm going to have to get my measuring tape out because I'm not noticed any difference since lockdown. Anyway, I wouldn't have anyone tampering with that. UK's roughest estate overrun with killer kids who rip pigeons apart for fun. An estate in the UK has been described as the country's roughest, where killer kids are on the loose, ripping pigeons apart and stabbing one another as councillors attempt to fix the town. The irony is, that could be practically any town in Britain. Maybe not with the pigeons being ripped apart bit, but everything else, sadly. And what a miserable note to end the news that makes you go, So now we'll have a look at the breaking news. What's been occurring since I started this broadcast? Well, nothing by the looks of things. It is Easter Sunday, to be fair. Infection warning has asked to recall types of cheese over bacteria. Worker left stunned after boss accuses her of time theft. 31 icons you've forgotten but shouldn't have, and it's a picture of Mr. T, 80s icons. A picture of Mr. T, we've talked about Mr. T quite a bit, to be fair. And the woman off of Top Gun. Medieval Charter, great shops and friendly locals, why you should visit Yorkshire's forgotten city. So that's not York, is it? Marks and Spencer issue toaster warning of Easter hot cross buns. Yeah, because they get stuck in them because they're not thin enough to get them in and out. They're thicker than a slice of bread. Tragedy as the remains of a boy, aged 2, who's been missing in France were found. Has been missing since July last year. Thousands of Israeli protesters call for Netanyahu's removal. Well, he's having his hernia removed. I suppose that's a start. King's 56 handshakes with public shows he's back where he belongs. Not sure about that. British-American actor and star of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Chance Perfermo dies at age 27. 7 children wounded in a mass shooting in a shopping mall, police say. It's obviously in America. And now it's heavy rain expected to cause travel disruption at the end of Easter. Okay, I can live with heavy rain, that's fine. Josh Ackland was an actor with Range and Pathos. Why is he in the news? I don't understand that. He died years ago. He was in the Pet Shop Boys movie. Can't happen here. Shouldn't happen here. Can't happen here. Didn't happen here. Something like that. Shouldn't happen here. Can't happen here. Shouldn't happen here. That's it. Shouldn't happen here. If you've ever seen the video for Always on My Mind, he's the guy who gets in the back of the car. I like it here wherever it is. I smell youth. Vintage youth. What am I? I'm biliterate. I can't speak in 4 languages. That stuff. I don't know. The hidden nuclear bunkers beneath Lancashire's houses, streets and buildings. That's not very hidden though, is it? Huge economic impact of Las Vegas GP comes to light with key report published. That was 46 minutes ago. It doesn't say whether it was good or bad. I can imagine it was bad. Appalling, Cheshire Village residents held captive as bridge out of action for months. Nothing to do with the ship strike or anything like that. It's more to do with the fact it's old and it hasn't been maintained. Vision for new Liverpool city centre transport hub with expanded central station and underground Lime Street. So they're redeveloping the public transport, which is money well spent. US fast food chain with God tier burgers adds 4 new items to UK. I don't recognise the packaging there. It's not Five Guys anyway. Actor Gset Jr was remembered as one of the best to ever do it. Crews at Baltimore Bridge collapse continue meticulous work of removing the twisted steel and concrete. Right, I think we're there. Oh, plan for trackless tram to reach Liverpool Airport and Anfield. This is in Liverpool, obviously. Basically, it's a tram that runs on wheels, but it's a tram and it follows markings. So if you've ever seen those early robotic things in warehouses that wheel things around, not the new ones because they use GPS, but the old ones that followed a trail. But I mean, this is Liverpool. I can imagine the local youth actually making the trams go in different directions by just painting different markings on the road. So one hopes there's something underneath the road that will will remove that risk. And I think, yeah, that's it for the news. So there you go. No, Joss Ackland died in the 80s. Look it up. Look it up. Anyway, yeah, that is Thendit News, like you lanos. We've got 10 concurrent viewers. We've only got 3 likes. Boo-hoo. We've had a chat rate of 0. Boo-hoo. We've had 48 views overall. Average is 15.9. Most people are viewing at any one time was 12. Yeah, so big shout out to everyone. So Stephen LFC1, Kelly and Rollo, you ran over Rollo, Rongan, who's been entertaining, Sean J, Laney, Kim. Oh, hi Kim, you snuck in then, I didn't see you come in. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. And Toff, welcome. So yeah, there you go. I'm gonna look this up now. I'll look this up now. I'm angry now. You got me angry. Don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Oh, I've switched the bloody thing off and I already had it there. Joss Ackland, actor. Oh, he died last year. Yeah. Lane is right, Lane is right, Lane is always in right. Yeah. So anyway, that is it for this week's show. We've been on for 1 hour and 42 minutes, which seems to be the average. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Rollo, for not being on the carpet. I'm sure he died years ago. Who was the actor I was on about the other week who died? Oh, it was the guy who played Fred in Coronation Street. I'd sworn he died 3 times, but twice before, because I thought he died not long after he left Coronation Street in real life. And yes, I do know the difference between actors dying and their characters dying. I thought he died not long after his character had died in Coronation Street. And then I thought he died a few years later, thinking I thought he died when not long after he left Coronation Street. And then he died a few weeks ago, and I thought he died a few years after he was in Coronation Street. But I also thought he died a few months after leaving Coronation Street. And Joss Ackland appears to be another one. Mind you, physically they're very similar, so maybe it's just fat bald men who I get confused with. Anyway, that is it. So thank you very much. JT, if you're listening to this, I've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. I think you're due a break. You listen to it on the podcast. And that is it. Rachel as well. Although she shouldn't be there because she should be doing her own thing and not at your job, because that'd be weird. So yeah, look after yourselves. I'll be seeing you. Until then, bye.